Hi, and welcome to the Kite Channel Lounge, the cybersecurity podcast dodging the vendor sales pitches and delivering genuine insights, news, and predictions. Hopefully, we can have some fun on the way as well. I'm your host, Stuart Nairne-Clark, and today I'm joined by two very special guests, Dave Marshall and Kip Tumber, founding directors of Kite. Well, this is very different, isn't it?
Feels strange.
My first ever podcast, I've got to say.
Yeah, there's cameras everywhere.
Yes.
Right, let's have some fun and see how we go, right? But do you guys listen to podcasts?
No, never listened to one in my life.
So I listened to one this morning. Tend to listen to a podcast like most days coming into work. So yeah, everything from comedy to industry podcasts. So I find it quite interesting, actually.
My podcast listening really is just purely down the rugby genre. I've never hosted one though, so we'll see how it goes. Right, so it's a really big year for Kite, turning 10 this year. And I think before we start jumping into Kite and the 10 years, and there's lots and lots to talk about, you guys should probably introduce yourselves to our listeners. So, Kip, over to you first.
So my name's Kip. Been in the industry since the age of about 24, which is a hell of a long time ago. So that's 31 years ago now. So started Kite alongside Dave, and I'm sure we're going to get into how we started, how this whole thing came about. But yeah, I've worked in IT forever, starting as an SE back in the day, progressing to sales, and then arriving in Vendorland about 15 years ago, before rocking up and starting Kite with Dave.
Perfect.
Oh, caught me mid-tea. So I had a different routine. I actually trained to be a school teacher. Worked in schools for about 6 years and actually got into IT about 25 years ago. First job was in distribution at Sphinx, just setting up a security practice at the time. I stayed with that company for 10 years or so until we sold to Arrow ECS in 2010. Stayed with Arrow for 4 years till 2014, which is when obviously Kip and I decided to set up Kite with Mark.
Fantastic. So that kind of leads me on to the 10 years of Kite. And before we start talking about looking at the 10 years and where we are today, really rolling back the clock, and you just mentioned it really, you and Kip deciding to set Kite up. So, you know, where were you? Why? How did it all come about?
Came about actually over a beer in Brown's in Nottingham. Kip was at Paolo at the time.
Yeah.
Sort of discussing the fact that all the value-add disties at the time had all been acquired, the likes of Sphinx, Computer Links were just being acquired, Wick Hill, Vidition, Cohort, etc., had all been acquired. And for vendors looking for new disties, for a distie to sort of take them to market, they didn't really have any choice. It was just the large broadliners or the global disties. He was sort of lamenting over the fact that there was nowhere to go. And we sort of, I can't remember who actually said, why don't we do it ourselves? But the end of the conversation was, why don't we set up a distie?
Well, I think we were both moaning, weren't we? And it was just
that's not very common, is it?
Nothing's changed.
That could have been any day.
But we just sat there both moaning, and I don't know who said it, like, you know, Dave just alluded to, but we kind of said, well, why don't we do something about it? And that was the starting point. We can sit here and moan about it, and things probably won't change in a year's time, or we can actually pull our big trousers on and try and do something about it. And that's what we did. And I think the next step was to approach Mark to see if he was interested, and he had retired at that point. And luckily we got him at the right point where I think he was just bored and looking for something to do. Perhaps if we'd done it a year earlier, he'd have said, no way, I'm just enjoying the freedom, traveling, doing whatever he was doing. But we seemed to get him at the right point as well. So, and you need a bit of luck, right? Because, you know, any business, I don't care what anyone says, there's always been some luck along the way. And we were no different. I think, you know, the fact that we went for a beer at the right time, we were both at a point in our career where we were getting itchy feet, and we approached Mark at the right time.
So I guess just for the listeners, who is Mark?
So, okay, fair point. So Mark Hatton was the MD of Sphinx. So when we sold that business, he retired. He had a few years where he couldn't work back in the industry. Those restricted covenants had washed away, as Kip said. And I think the term he used for us was, I realised when I painted the garage floor, I needed something to do outside of just doing DIY at home and travelling. So he sort of helped us get the business set up. He's very much in a non-exec role today. Now we're sort of set up and running.
Great. So taking us back to that first meeting at Brands, if you got any cars or taxis home, etc. What happened next? What was going through your mind? Because I'm really interested to kind of hear that the process that you went through. And yeah, what did you do first?
I have to be honest, I went home and spoke to my wife and said, I'm thinking of doing this, which means life's going to get tough for a few years. I then went to approach my dad to say, I'm thinking of doing this. My life might get tough for a couple of years. I might need a bit of help. And thankfully, they were both on board straight away. If it's something you want to do, go and have a go. Go and have a go at it. So I was dead grateful to the pair of them for letting me do that.
Yeah, quite similar. I spoke to my other half.
Why did you speak to my wife?
Yes. I have to run everything past Lisa, you know that. But I spoke to my wife, and we were expecting our second child at that time. And I think it's fair to say Palo Alto, it's a great place to work, but they expect a lot as well. And I just said, look, I'm thinking about doing this thing with Dave. And she said, are you sure? And I said, I want to give it a go. It's something I haven't done. And as we were expecting our second child, I thought it might be good to kind of jump off the carousel with Venderland and go and have some time off. Never done that. Graduated from university, went straight into a job because I had to pay rent and never really stopped. So I said, might be a good opportunity just to jump off and have 3 months, be, stay at home dad for those 3 months. But in the background, we started setting up Kite. And it was probably the busiest I've ever been because I was exiting Palo Alto and trying to spin this thing up in the background.
Yeah, of course. And I guess we've all had, people we lean on for advice. And then you've talked about kind of the personal influences there and also Mark. But was there any third parties in the industry as well that you put those calls in or text just in terms of this is what I'm thinking? Who did you reach out to?
So I remember reaching out to a few, I guess, friendly vendors to say, what do you think? Do you feel that there's a gap in the market? Do you feel that, even whether it's not you as a vendor or a different vendor, there's still a need and desire, or is it just something Kip and I have made up together? And weirdly, I was actually at a McAfee conference in Las Vegas just before I resigned. And I'm not going to say who it was because it'd be unfair to that person, but there was a partner out there from the UK who I spoke to about it as well. Just had a sort of a mad moment, just need to sanity check I'm doing the right thing. And he pretty much said, what my wife had said, what my dad had said, well, give it a go. What have you got to lose? If it doesn't all go great, you'll find another job back in the industry. So yeah, just sounded out a few friendlies, I guess.
And how about you, Kit? Because I'm interested from your perspective, going from distribution into the vendor land where I met you and then back to distribution. Yeah, what was going through your mind?
Well, all the jobs I did, the one that I enjoyed the most was distribution. So it was a calculated risk for me. So I just thought if I have as much fun as when I was working at Sphinx, then actually it could be quite a good thing to do. So I guess I was mitigating some risk in some way doing that. I didn't really speak to anyone because I didn't want to hear any negative reasons not to do it, if that makes sense. I just kind of I wanted to be really, really focused on doing it because it was a big leap to leap out of the world's biggest cybersecurity vendor and go and do this thing. So I just kind of pursued it.
And I think as well, I was still working with 10, 20, 30, 40 vendors on a daily basis. I was still in distribution.
Yeah.
Where you'd been out of it for 5 or 6 years or so?
About 7 years.
7 years. So he worked at Blue Coat for a bit and then at Paolo. So
yeah.
I still was talking to vendors on a daily basis. about these things and just pick some friendlies to sanity check with.
I did remember some advice though, and I can't remember who gave it to me, but they said, however expensive you think it's going to be, double that figure.
Oh, okay.
However hard you think it's going to be, double that expectation. And however long you think it's going to take to get it off the ground, double that. So if I was going to give any advice to somebody trying to set up a company, that's the only sage advice I reckon I could give them.
Yeah. And we almost hit those numbers exactly, didn't we?
Yeah.
From what we first thought we'd do. Everything took twice as long, twice as hard, etc.
Really interesting. And I guess, so once you guys had made the decision in your minds, had those conversations, put the plans in place, kind of, I guess one of the exciting bits, the name, and brings us to kind of the 10 years of Kite. Why Kite? Where did that come from? And were there any other options as well?
So we spent a lot of time debating this, and we came up with names, not like Google, but like names that meant nothing at the time, but they do now. I think it was Mark who said, look, we're obviously everything's going into the cloud, in the sky. There was already a distributor at the time called Cloud Distribution. We didn't like Sky. So Kite was just picked because it's in the sky and it's in the clouds. I think it's as simple as that. And it's a fairly simple name to remember.
We looked at Greek alphabet, we looked at Greek names, we looked at like mythical names.
We were really busy the first week.
Yeah.
While we were working.
But it kind of got to the point where we'd spent 2 days thinking about a name. And such is the way at Kite, it's like, let's just get on with it. We've spent enough time doing that. Yeah. Let's just move on to the next thing. Let's try and get some vendors so that we can actually survive through the next 3 months.
Yeah. So I wanted to touch on that. Day one. So you've got the name, you're ready, you've got those vendor signings, or was there a day one? But yeah, the day when you walked in to the virtual office for the first day, whatever it may have been, what did day one of Kite look like?
I remember a couple of things. We put together. So the one thing about setting up a distributor is you don't need to overly worry to start with who your customers are. We've been selling to those customers as Sphinx, as Arrow, Paolo at Blue Coat for years and years and years. So we knew who the partners were we'd have to go and recruit. What we needed was something to sell them. So we started to put together a list of all the cybersecurity vendors that we felt would be a good fit for a new listing. In addition to that, we wanted to go find an office. The last office I worked at Arrow was in Nottingham. So we picked Leicester because it's almost like the next city down from there. And fun enough, looking in this podcast room today, we actually got a room in the Regis that was about this size. And it had no windows, and it had 3 desks in, one for me, one for Kip, one for Mark, and some phones, and a case of, look, if we're going to start this, let's have a base to go at, not necessarily work from home. Let's have a base to go at, and we went from there. And we just started ringing up vendors and connecting via LinkedIn and starting those conversations, in addition to, going to find someone to do the accounts for us. That was probably one of the first things we did, setting the company up. And that's where Mark was a great help because, almost day one, we set up a VAT account. That's not necessarily something you'd think of, or certainly I wouldn't have thought of. But yeah, that's where we really got started. And literally, this room reminds me of that first room.
I remember speaking to Kip on the train, actually, on the way down to Nottingham. I don't know if you remember, into London. You were just going through that phase in the office. And after met them, I wasn't aware of Kite because of the plan that you guys had done behind the scenes, really. And you'd only just launched. But I do remember you talking to me about that kind of excitement on the train of getting into that office for the first time.
Yeah, you had to be very self-motivated because not only did you have to go and try and sign vendors, but then you'd have to put that down and go and design a logo. And then it was like, okay, we need a network for the people to pull the files into. So you were constantly kind of flip-flopping between what you'd kind of normally do as a salesperson and then all these kind of new areas where, neither of us are technical, but you might have to go and set up a web page, for instance, or do something a bit designy, which neither of us come from that background. But I just remember a lot of bickering in that office because Dave likes it sub-zero and I like it about 22 degrees. So as soon as you disappeared out of the office, it get turned right down.
And by the way, 10 years on, our office is exactly the same today. There are those people that were born on the sun and those who will sit there quite happily in a t-shirt every day.
Of course, right. So in distribution, we can't do it without our partners and our vendors, right? We wouldn't have a business without it. So just in terms of those first partners, those first vendors, because there's nothing to sell without the vendor, right? And so, just touching on that, who were the first transactions and the first guys that supported you?
Well, I can certainly answer from a vendor perspective. I mean, I've still got the spreadsheet. So we were tracking all the vendors that we approached. And there were 126 vendors, I think, we had conversations with. A lot of those didn't respond, quite frankly. Some did and said it's not for us. And then we kept boiling down that list until we ended up probably arriving at a list of about 6 or 7. And that's where we started formulating the launch plan. And as Dave said, we kind of knew who we were going to approach. We just didn't know what we were going to go and speak to them about. But as I said earlier, you then start moving into the world of contracts and terms and conditions, all kind of areas that we always had people to go and do that for us. But once we've got that kind of that vendor portfolio, we felt like we had something tangible to go and speak to partners about. And that, I guess, was really the next step at that point onwards.
Yeah, I think we found that signing partners wasn't difficult. They wouldn't sign you just because you set up a business. They'd sign you once you started working on the first opportunities or an order's about to close. It doesn't take particularly long with most partners to sign the agreement between the two. I think we launched with 6 vendors at the start. Mm-hmm. We still carry 2 of those today in Infoblox and Entrust. And then quite quickly we got approached by a couple of others who sort of realised that we'd set up again. And we're very keen to work with myself, Mark and Kip under a new business. So I think by the end of the first year we had 8.
Fantastic. Okay,
7 or 8 in the portfolio.
So we'll start to wrap up kind of the past piece as we begin to look forward. But is there a day that really stands out for you? Is that day that you look back and say that was great?
I remember the first order we got. I think at that point, there was about 4 or 5 of us within the business. Dale, who I'd worked with at Sphinx and Arrow, he'd gone off to another disty and he'd come to work with us. And I remember him ringing me in the car to say that he's just had a call from the partner. They've just placed their first order on us. I remember that really well. I think probably rang Kip, probably rang Sandy, who was at the time, probably rang everybody, all 4 or 5 of us in the business, so we got our first order. So that was quite nice.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Just to be different, I think for me, it was when we actually incorporated the company, because it made it tangible at that point. So to get that notification from Companies House that you've got your name above the door, that you're actually a director, that was quite an important milestone, because it meant we're actually committed to doing this now. We've got to do something now. We've taken that first step. But I do remember that point as well. That probably comes a very close second.
And over the last 10 years, within sales, you have to celebrate the highs, right? But there's always challenges. So, is there a day or a time or maybe a period that you thought that was hard? And maybe, even those second thoughts, and that could have been day one, or it could have been, a couple of months or a couple of years in. But has there been a dark day that you can kind of?
I could think of a couple. When coming back to what Kip said about everything's twice as hard, we knew we'd probably make a loss in year 1, and I guess we may have planned in year 2 to break even and then start recovering that loss in year 3, and it took a bit longer than that. So I think until the company became profitable, there was always that little niggle in my mind: have we made the right decision here? And that took about 3 or 4 years to actually start getting profitable, paying back the costs that we had up front. And then since then, no, it's weird. I bounce out of bed every day and love going to work. Absolutely. And we have our ups and downs every day. Occasionally vendors move on. You work on a deal, it goes somewhere else. It's been the same in distribution for years and years. But I still really love going to work.
So I guess to answer that question, I think it's easier when you've got 3 directors in the business. was speaking to somebody who was a sole director, and he was saying that sometimes he has low points and almost gets overwhelmed by it. I think it's fair to say, like, if I can come in and I've got a cloud over me, I might say something to Dave about it, and we can bounce off each other and reset. I mean, we have a saying anyway about resetting every day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's really important to do as a business owner. So you don't carry any problems from the previous day, the previous month forward. So I think it's always important to reset. I've got to say, I thought COVID, you know, that was weird for everyone, right? But especially as a business owner, because nobody knew when we were going to get back to normal. You know, and it was very difficult to legislate for that. And we'd built up quite a lot of momentum at that point. But it was the same for everyone. I think everybody was just kind of feeling their way through it. But I think for a business owner, especially a business owner that extends credit to partners, you know, we felt like we might be quite exposed during that whole period. But, you know, fingers crossed, I think with a lot of hard work, we drove through it like a lot of other businesses.
Okay. And biggest learnings, just to kind of sum it up, biggest learnings over the last 10 years. And you did touch on it, you know, in terms of the advice that you got. But if there was one thing.
Well, that's a good question.
So I think I know what it is for me. When I've worked in distribution in the past, I'd only worked at the sales side of it. And I didn't really probably fully understand the pressures there are around marketing, sort of technical, but especially the finance side of the business. Extending more credit, extending longer payment terms, et cetera, et cetera. You sort of push back hard on finance to give you those things. As the business owner, you realise there are reasons that finance are pushing back, and the importance of, you know, cash collection and cash flow forecasts, and, you know, working closely with the bank and the exchange rates, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think I fully appreciated that until it was me that it affected personally.
Yeah, I can see that.
I guess for me, it's be prepared to learn every day, especially in this industry. It's so dynamic, so diverse that I think if you just stay in your lane, then you're not giving it the best chance, you know, that you can. So I think coming into work every day, being prepared to just take on more knowledge, more skills, I think that's quite a good lesson for everybody that, you know, works in our business, that if we're prepared to do it, everybody should.
Brilliant. Well, look, for me, I've learned some stuff. I've been here 2.5 years now, but even learned some of the pieces there, you know, that you guys have gone through over the last 10 years. But what we're going to do now...
Can I just add another low day?
Go on.
A couple of years ago, at Halloween, I lost some bet and had to dress up as a pumpkin,
right,
walk a half a mile into town and buy everybody breakfast. That was probably my biggest low, because I looked like a right Wally that day.
I'd have loved it.
And I think it was rigged, because I was up against Kip.
I'd have loved it.
I'm sure that was rigged.
I think we've still got the footage somewhere. We can post
that. No,
we
I'm sure we haven't. I'm sure that got deleted.
Well, as I say, right, we're going to change it up a bit. I'm going to have a bit of fun. And what I'd love to know over the last 10 years is what you've learned about each other. So what we're going to do is a Kite Mr. and Mrs. with Kip and Dave. And
Dave and Kip.
Dave and Kip.
Right, let's get that right. Okay.
Right, this is going to be funny. And you said about dressing up as a pumpkin. I really like fancy dress. So I'm going to be a bit of a quiz show host. So here's the wig.
It's been a while since you've had hair, Stu, hasn't it?
It's been a long time since I've had hair.
That's special.
That's special.
Really.
Yeah.
What do you think?
You've just merged into the background. I like it.
Well, here we go. So I've got some props for you. Is my wig on the right way?
I can't tell. It's pretty horrific.
I've got to say it is. It's not the best.
Oh, you need that. Sorry, you need that.
Yeah. Okay.
The questions. Right. So
I might have to put my glasses on now.
What we're going to start with first is a series of questions where the answer is either Kip or Dave. Okay. And this is how well, you know, are you completely aligned? So you ready? So what I'm going to do, just to be clear, I'm going to read a question out, and I want you both to show your board to the camera and also shout out who it is. But we're going to go really quickly here, right?
Yep.
So don't think too much or hard. Who is most likely? Who is the most likely to be in the office first?
Dave.
Who is the last man standing in the bar?
Kip.
Who always has the last word in an argument?
Dave.
Who is the most likely to break the rules?
Dave.
Who's got the best dress sense?
Oh, Kip.
Who's more frugal with their money?
Defo Dave.
Dave.
Who's most likely to swear?
Dave.
Kip.
Yeah, could be either.
Who's the boss?
Dave.
I'm going to let... So he doesn't argue. I'm just going to say Dave.
Always gets the last word in an argument.
Who is the most stubborn?
Kip, I'm pretty stubborn.
I'm going to say Dave, but we could both be very stubborn at times. I don't think I'm holding up right, am I? I'll have to do it that way next time.
Who's the most tech savvy?
Oh,
Definitely.
100% Kip.
Who is the most likely to survive on a desert island?
Dave.
I'm going to give that to Dave.
Okay, yeah, I see that. And who's most likely to blow?
I think we can both blow, but
I'm going to give it to Kip this time.
Yeah, okay.
We can both blow.
although we've only blown once in 10 years.
At each other.
Yeah.
Last question. Good way to finish, really. Who's enjoyed this the most?
Is there a stew option?
Yeah. I'll have Stu down as my option.
I've loved it. I've absolutely loved it.
You're not going to give that jacket or that wig back, are you,
No.
after this?
I'm going to wear this
They're going to go
tonight.
strangely missing.
I'm going to wear this tonight for our...
Oh, good man.
And if you're up for it, I think we should do a Mr. and Mrs. in the office for the pleasure of our employees. What do you reckon?
I'll be up for that.
I'm up for that.
Yeah.
A quick one?
Yeah.
We'll do the forecast meeting. We'll do that before the awards, eh?
Yeah, I think that'd be a good laugh.
Right. So now we're going to... Just a few questions that based on each of you. Okay.
We're still Mr. and Mrs.
We're still Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with Dave. Questions all around Dave for Kip.
So I'm answering.
Well, you need to answer as well,
Oh,
I
right,
think.
okay.
So we know, because I don't think I know the answers. What is the name of Dave's oldest child?
Oh, you bastard.
No, it's not you bastard.
Who was most likely to swear? Can you remember that?
Both of us.
Dave, oh, there you go. What is it, Dave?
Oh, I have to show it. Molly.
What have you gone for, Kip?
Harriet. To be fair to Kip, I have a lot of kids.
How many tattoos does Dave have?
5.
I went 4.
Right, that's not so
That's
close.
not bad.
That's not close.
That's not bad, is it?
Well, one of them's in a place you wouldn't see anyway.
What is Dave's favourite song?
I'm not even sure this is what it's called.
So,
Celine Dion. Love will go on.
no,
No?
What have you
Okay.
gone for, Dave?
I would have gone for either Coldplay, a Coldplay song, or there's one, and I can't think of the name of it. Jill to John.
That's
Jill to John.
That's what I got told this morning. Yeah.
Yes, that's because we put it on when we put on the Spotify, and I always have that. 'cause it
The
winds people up.
Spotify.
Yeah.
We're now going to move on to questions about Kip. 4 questions. How many did you get right about Dave?
I don't know,
0?
You were keeping questions.
Oh, I was asking
Did
questions.
you get any right?
Got the tattoo wrong.
You got Molly wrong.
Got Molly wrong.
You got the song wrong.
Got the song wrong.
How many questions were there?
Well, there were 4.
What was the other one?
Oh, I've got another question to ask.
Oh, right.
What is the name of Dave's dog?
Rhymes with leaks.
Ah, got it.
There you go.
Deeks.
There, you got one right.
1 out of 4. Well done. So we're going to move on to some questions around Kip.
Excellent.
What year did Kip get married?
Right. I'm going to go for 2009.
Yes, look at that. 2009.
I'm pretty sure it's 2009. Yeah.
Free.
In Vegas.
It was in Vegas, yeah.
It was in Vegas.
Yeah, not with an Elvis impersonator there.
you have a good time in Vegas?
Fantastic.
Love
Yeah,
Vegas.
you'd
Love
have fitted in well.
I love Vegas.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was going to say,
I do, yeah.
you could have hosted the ceremony just like that.
What was Kip's first car?
Oh, there's no way you're going to know that.
This is a random guess. Fiesta.
No, it was a Vauxhall Astra.
Okay, I didn't know that.
To be fair to Dave, I don't think he knew me when I had that car.
What size feet does Kip have?
It's very personal.
8.
Bang on. Yep.
Go. And the last question, what is Kip's favourite film?
I'm going to guess The Godfather.
It's definitely not The Godfather. Do you want to guess again?
Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, that's good. No, I don't think it's that.
There's
either.
a lot of films.
I know.
I could be guessing a lot of times.
That's a tough one because I'm not sure what my favourite film is.
I think I've got many as well.
Mine's Shawshank Redemption.
Usual Suspects.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's up there. We could be here a long time.
It could be
We
a
go
long
through all the
time.
films I like.
Well,
Hey, look, I didn't pick How to Lose a Guy in 10 Dates or something, whatever the film is. So I went for a proper one.
Well, thanks very much, guys. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
I think you need to spend some more time together.
Sounds
Get
like
to-
it.
Get to
That's
know
quite
each other
embarrassing.
A little bit more intimately. Let's get back onto it. I'm going to take this off if that's all right.
Yep.
I think you should leave it on.
I don't think I can. So back to some questions on Kite and some discussion really to pick it back up. So 10 years on, we talked about there's a lot of lessons that have been taken, etc. What's next? What's next for Kite?
I think short term, keep growing, keep increasing visibility of the brand. I think it helps when a lot of our competitors have either been acquired or fallen away. And we've always had an ambition to kind of become synonymous with being the best distributor out there. You know, I think it's a big ambition, but I think it's something that is front and center in everything that we do. Yeah, turning around quotes, the service that we offer to our vendors. I don't think that's going to change in the short term.
Dave?
To be honest, I agree completely with Kip. I don't think I can really expand beyond that. Just keep growing.
Excellent. And looking back from those days of starting to now, would you do it all again? I know we're in it now, but would you do it all again?
Yes, I think I would. I certainly don't regret it. 100% don't regret it. As I said right at the start, I absolutely love going to work every day. And fun enough, I said I was teaching. I had one friend who left teacher when we finished university, went straight to become a copper. 30 years on, exactly 30 years, he's retired. 56, 57 years old. Couldn't wait to retire. Hated it. At the same time, someone I did the teaching with, who went to be a teacher, became a head. As soon as he hit 55, retired. Hated it. Got up every day, hated going to work. I can't imagine that. I really can't imagine what it's like to hate going to your job every single day and counting down the days to you hit a retirement age and then taking it the first chance you get. So absolutely love going to work, love working at Kite, love the work we do for our partners, our vendors. So I'd do it all again in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'd encourage anyone who's never set up their own business to give it a go. You know, it's taught me a load of things. You know, there's areas that I never really thought that I would enjoy. You know, one was like hiring people, seeing how they develop. That's actually, you know, quite enriching. Coming in every day, you know, I can honestly say each day is different, and I can't imagine ever being in a job where from 9 to 5:30 you're doing the same mundane tasks. I mean, we're recording a podcast today. You know, that
Who would have thought that 10 years ago?
Yeah, that just kind of sums up that things are always constantly changing. And I think I said earlier about we're in an industry that's very dynamic. So you can just sit there trying to do the same job, or you can embrace it and, you know, go and learn about all the new technologies, all the new partners out there. You know, I think socially, it's a great place to be as well, because you're always dealing with new people, and that's always quite good fun.
Yeah, like, we've been doing a lot of interviewing at the moment, right? Where we've spoken to people outside of the industry, in some of them outside of, sales. But, we talk a lot about the opportunity within Kite, within the industry. What do you think is the biggest opportunity for these individuals? And like, we speak to them about their background, and as part of the interview, we do try and position Kite, sell Kite to an extent. But yeah, why would someone join Kite? Why would someone join the industry? In a few short words.
I think opportunity. In fact, to sum it in one word, it's opportunity. I can't talk for Dave, but I'm pretty sure I know the answer. Nobody goes to their careers officer at school and says, I want to move into sales. We kind of all fall into it, probably because we need jobs or we want to try and do something different. But it's probably the best decision we all made, because it's given us a really good life, and it's given us massive opportunity. When I interview anyone who comes in, I will say, do you know how big this industry is? And try and give them an idea of the scale. And actually, if you work really hard, what the possibilities are. And I just don't think they necessarily get that in a lot of other industries. And some people get it and they embrace it. And do you know what? There's some people that were working as my internals who are now running sales teams internationally. There's some people who have set their own vendors up. And I think that kind of encapsulates the opportunity there.
Yeah, totally. But in my time at Kite, the best time that we have as a team and the best we are as a team is when we're all together. And, that can be around our cyber social events that we do, or in and around InfoSec. And I think when I look at the photo of us, all of us a team in the same uniform, T-shirts, however you want to put it. And we've got a really big day for us that this afternoon and this evening in terms of our 10-year awards and also celebration dinner. Just a couple of kind of words and comments on that today, actually, 10 years in, celebrating those 10 years and what it means to you guys.
Well, I think I was reading the statistics somewhere that the average length of service in most organisations in the UK is something like 4 years. If you want to be really kind. In other statistics, they say it's 2 years to 4 years. I think our average is something like 6.8, just under 7 years. I think that's kind of testimony to the fact that people, have started their careers with us and just kind of progressed through the company and stuck with us. But we've always tried to hire people that you actually want to go for a beer with. If you want to reduce it down, most of the people in our our office, you'd probably go for a beer with, and you can have a laugh with. And sometimes you need that when you're having a bad day and you want lifting. So it's a great place to work. A lot of our vendors say exactly the same. Unprompted, they'll say they'd like coming in and spending time in our office. So I think there's a real lack of ego in the company. And, it's a pleasure really from my perspective, Dave's perspective, Mark's perspective, to be rewarding people who've shown commitment to us over the last 5 or 10 years.
And anything from you, Dave?
I think probably to add, I'm really proud of all those people who, have been with us for 10 years, have grown with us with the company, have grown with the company. There's a lot of people we're going to be celebrating with tonight who've been here 10 years along with us. And also a lot of people who've been here for 5 years as well. And I say enjoy working with them all, and it's great to see these guys grow. Where we can, we allow them to grow within the business, and then even people who have then left of us, and it's great to see their careers continue, either in vendor land or wherever they move on after us.
Totally. And look, it's going to be a real good day today. I'm really looking forward to it myself. And obviously, there's 9 months of the year left as well. So is there anything else you want to call out that we as a team and Kite have got coming up this year?
So I'd like to mention we've got InfoSec again, where on the second day we've hired one of the floors on the Sunbourne again. So it'd be a great opportunity for people to come along during the day to meet our vendors who are helping sponsor that. We've got the sessions between 12 and 3, where we can have one-to-one meetings with the vendors in a bit of a different environment from being on the InfoSec floor. And then from 3, I think, till 8 o'clock, then will be some drinks and nibbles and a bit of music on. Hopefully the weather will be nice. Last couple of years, it's been really nice just to be stood outside and sort of have a beer, sort of networking with our community. And then from my point of view as well, I did last year our first golf day.
Yeah.
That was really well attended. Really enjoyed that. And we're doing our second one this year in September as well. So I'm looking forward to that a lot.
And look, we're going to start wrapping up now. And you guys have worked extremely hard over the last 10 years and do day in, day out. And, you know, in the early days, you've talked about some of the sacrifices, and there probably wasn't that opportunity, you know, to take a lot of downtime. But when it comes, just personally, you know, where is your favourite place to take some time out? We talked about Desert Island earlier on. And where's next? You got any holiday coming up?
I went travelling around Japan last year. I love that place. I'd love to go back. You know, at some point in the future, who knows? If I retire, I can't think of anything nicer than living out in Japan.
Lovely, really interesting. That's a podcast in itself. Dave?
Yeah, so we have to have holidays booked. So without making, I actually go to Jamaica tomorrow night for a couple of weeks.
Do you?
Yep.
Not mentioned.
I've not mentioned that to anybody yet. No. Can't wait. I love going to new places. Holidays, we're going to Jamaica tomorrow night. Then we're booked to go to Bali in the summer for a couple of weeks. And I've already booked the ski trip for next year as well.
Fantastic.
So I have to have those booked. That's the one thing the wife does insist on. We have holidays to look forward to and they're booked in.
It's important. It's really important. And look, to close off now, this is the first of our podcast series. I think I've enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to the next one. The next time round, we're going to take a little bit more of a serious approach in terms of cybersecurity, the market and trends, etc. But is there anyone that you would like to see in your seat? What guest would you like us to get on?
I think if I was to add anything while Kip's thinking, I've never watched a podcast. I can imagine what they're like. It'd be great if we can keep them not too serious, so that we keep people's interest in these things. We've got some fantastic vendors with some fantastic technologies and tools that help, really help secure our partners and users. So it'd be great to get some of those involved, and different people within those. Some technical, some marketing, some sales. We spoke for a couple of years about having like a marketing community as well. So it'd be great to do one of those, maybe with our team and some of the marketing people from our vendors.
Yeah, I agree.
So just keep it varied. That's what I'd like to see. I think keep it varied.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys. One's Rick Ferguson, so he works for Scout. He's always very compelling company. Not had the pleasure of spending too much time with him, but the little time I have spent has been phenomenal. And another one of our vendors, Entrust, a gentleman there called Robert Hahn. What he doesn't know about cryptology isn't worth talking about. So he'd be a great guest as well.
All right, we'll get them on the list. And one question that we are going to ask all of our guests moving forward is the one question you would pose to any future guests, whatever that may be, industry-wise or outside. So if there's anything that you would ask a guest, what would it be? Look, if we're going to keep this light-hearted, it could be, what's your favourite cheese? It could be anything. But
you're just taking the words out of my mouth.
I'd ask them, did they expect to be a salesperson? Because no one ever does. I'm waiting to find the person who said, I want to move into sales. I'm sure they exist.
I think I'd probably ask them, if a bit similar to what you asked, if you were to do it all again, would you follow the same path to where you got to? Because I know if any of my kids decided to get into cybersecurity or into distribution, reseller, vendor world, I would encourage it. Absolutely. If anyone said they wanted to get into teaching, I would try and discourage it, because I think that's a really difficult profession to get into. To just take any advice from that to help other people, because we are getting towards the end a little bit. Kip and I are both over 50 now. We need to get more and more people into the cyber industry.
Totally agree. Well, look, thank you very much. I've really enjoyed it. So thank you, Kip. Thank you, Dave. And to our listeners, which right now we need to build that community. So I'm hoping we've got listeners. Yeah, exactly. Thank you for joining us. This has been the Kite Channel Lounge. I've been Stuart Nairne-Clark, your host, and look forward to speaking to you again soon. You can find the podcast on all of the channels in terms of Spotify, etc. And we look forward to joining you soon. Cheers. So, who has the best dress sense?
The breast dress sense.
The breast dress sense.
Can you repeat the question?
I will repeat the question. First question.
Yes.
Now you've given me the giggles, which is always going to happen. Right. What is the name of Dave's dog?
That's going in the outtakes.